Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
You're listening to TFG Cricket.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to the TFG Fantasy Cricket Podcast. My name is Nikhil, and yes, there is absolutely nothing happening in the international cricket circuit. So we thought today we'll do an article where we'll give you tips and tricks on how to make a successful T20 Fantasy Cricket 11. I have Vivek Krishnan with me. We have just finished with Big Bash League. We'll be starting off with Pakistan Super League. There are a lot of leagues that are happening around the world. So, it's just a kind of an advice article for you guys. So there are certain points, just make a note of it. We'll start with read and research. Vivek Krishnan.
Yeah, Nikhil. So we had a very successful tournament in Australia, and now the action moves to the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
Although it's called the Pakistan Super League.
It's not played in Pakistan.
It's not played in Pakistan, obviously for security reasons. But what I've read is the final will be played
at Lahore.
At Lahore. So remains to be seen how the security is beefed up and if the foreign players are willing to travel to Pakistan. But that is, I think, the final is on the 5th of March.
Okay.
And we still have about a month to go. So let's talk about the action in the Gulf. And I think it's going to be a super tournament. I just looked up some names, and a lot of people have confirmed. You're talking about some obviously established players from England, from South Africa, from Sri Lanka, from West Indies. All these giants are going to be
part of PSL.
And I think, Nikhil, that's the way forward. The game has been evolving in that direction. You talk about so many innovations, so many inventions, and I think you have to accept it. You have to take it in your stride and say, okay, let me put up with it. But having said all this, I just feel if you keep the traditional format pure without without tinkering too much, I think it will hold its ground. Talk about ODI, I'm not too sure where the format is heading. Probably everybody is getting a little confused, especially when you have the Champions Trophy coming up in the next 3-4 months in the UK. So we'll wait and see how that progresses. But for the time being, I think, like you said, read and research. I think first name that comes to my mind is Andre Russell, who has been banned for a year because of doping charges, accusations, whatever you want to call it. So he won't be a part of the PSL.
Yeah, he has appealed for it, but
like we have seen, Nikhil, you actually
everybody appeals.
Yeah, the success rate is pretty low. So of course we wish best for him, and it's a loss. It's a loss for the tournament. I think Moeen Ali, who will also be missing. I think he's going on the Hajj. Alex Hales is nursing an injury, so he won't be taking part.
So basically, what you were trying to say is
read and research.
Yeah, keep tracks of all the players.
You need to research. You need to read well as to who's going in, who's not, who's opting out. Last minute changes because of some NOCs not obtained from respective boards. So all these things will happen over the next 1 week or so. I think the first match will be played on the 9th, so you can expect a lot of drama till the 8th, because it is what it is, Nikhil. It's very, very unpredictable, and given the way the governance is done in Pakistan, you really cannot say that a player from England or a player from Sri Lanka will surely be a part of this extravaganza. So you have to live with it, and you talk about elements of risk. I think it travels parallelly with the T20 format. So,
but I'll tell you what, when it comes to all these leagues, Big Bash and IPL do provide, certain kind of information in terms of who is injured, who is playing, who is not playing. But if you look at Bangladesh Premier League, I have not much clue about Pakistan Super League, but there is absolutely no information. Even their Twitter handles are not properly handled by the
But I think it all comes down to number one, popularity, number one, money. India is massively blessed. We have all the money, and with obviously these late night IPL parties, you get a hint or two as to who's doing what, who's roaming with whom, who's wearing what, if he's going to be on the field or not. Talking about the Bash, obviously they have been very clinical, very organized. We used to get information about the playing 11, not playing 11. I think the squad, that is the 13-man squad, traveling to a particular venue. So that obviously helped. We struggled during the Bangladesh Premier League because there was absolutely no information available. I expect
Also the Caribbean.
You talk about Ram Slam, all these tournaments. It's very difficult, Nikhil, to you cannot pick players. There is no guarantee. Basically, we saw Kumar Sangakkara being benched ahead of Andre Russell, Shakib Al Hasan, Ravi Bopara, and there were quite a few other international stars. But that's again, I mean, it's a classic example. I would say Mumbai Indians, Chennai Super Kings. These teams have problems of plenty. Because when you have far too many quality guys, you have to bench someone. Because the nature of the format is such that you can only play 4 overseas professionals. That's one problem. Number 2 again is the injuries. You don't know who pulls out when. I think Dwayne Smith is travelling to this event. He wasn't a part of the Big Bash, which was surprising in the first place. Then you talk about Thisara Pereira. Again, you know, he's become a freelancer these days. Sri Lanka is getting clobbered in South Africa, and I think he should be a part of that team. But again, you are allowed to be selfish these days, and who's going to complain? As long as the board is not giving anything to you in writing, fine, go ahead and play wherever you want.
Cool. Moving on to the next point, don't ignore local players. Which is a very important point, because in Big Bash we have seen that so many local stars, you know, domestic stars who have come up to the ranks.
Swepson, for example. Then we saw Daniel Hughes. Ben Dwashes. I hate to talk about this guy, but look, he was the leading wicket taker. So a lot of these guys, a lot of these interesting individuals come up with bat, ball, all-round show. You cannot ignore them. At the end of the day, like we said, it's a domestic tournament, Nikhil. Obviously, you can embellish with all these stars, but the root remains domestic, you know, and that's where I think a lot of points are there for taking. And talk about Pakistan, there are some interesting guys like Junaid Khan, Saad Naseem. You talk about Umar Akmal, obviously, then Sharjeel Khan, Shoaib Malik, so many of them. And I think these guys will add more value to the tournament. And I'm saying this obviously because these guys also travel well, Nikhil, and they I think Pakistanis naturally take to the T20 format. And I think the unpredictability surrounding the tournament suits them very well. And I think that's where they are very dangerous also. So I think you have to keep a track as to who's doing what. Again, we repeat, there are a lot of scorecards available, a lot of post match information also. So
look at the domestic tournaments basically, because before Big Bash
they don't play too many domestic tournaments, Nikhil, unfortunately, given the current
not
state.
only Pakistan, but in terms of Big Bash also had a look
for sure. Yes. You look at the 40 over tournament, you look at the 5-day format, you get a fair hint as to who's doing what. For example, we'll have the IPL in April and May, so you can take cue from the ongoing Syed Mushtaq Ali T20 trophy, where you have Jalat Saxena, you have so many of these guys, Jagdish Suchit, you have Vinoy Kumar, so many of these guys doing well. So obviously I think the franchisees are also very smart these days, because they have a lot of spies around, you know. They have these talent scouts, you know. They go around the country, they look for these young prodigies coming up, and they pick them at a very, very meager amount, I should say. And then in a few years you realize it's gone up exponentially. So
best example was Sanju Samson.
I don't know. I mean, I'm a big believer that all these prices are a little rigged, but that's my story.
Okay. So, guys, apart from the foreigners, you need to keep an eye on the local players. So, moving ahead, keep checking scorecard. This is a bit of an illusion that we see in T20.
Yeah.
Can you touch upon that?
Yes, Nikhil, this is very confusing unless you go back, for example, Ravi Bopara, or let's talk about any all-rounder. Or
even Kane Williamson.
Or I think the best would be Ben Dunk. You know why I say this? Because Ben Dunk started bowling towards the fag end of the tournament. And he's a wicket keeper, number one, but he didn't play as a keeper. He started as an opening batsman and then later on switched to some bowling. So a lot of these portals give you information as to, let's say, match 1, Ben Dunk against Sydney Sixers, 26 points. How did that 26 come about? I mean, you would be under the impression, okay, he's a batsman, so he must have scored 52. You calculate strike rate, you calculate bonus points, you calculate 4, 6s, everything. And then you just end up picking the same guy, you know, assuming that he would perform the same role. But this is misleading. If you watch the match, you know, okay, this guy didn't bat. This guy actually bowled and he ended up picking wickets. And that's where the points came from. So rather than getting into this awkward situation of not being sure as to where the point is coming from, watch the match.
Okay.
If you're not able to watch the match for whatever reason, obviously go back to the scorecards, because that will give you a better understanding of what is happening.
Yeah. So, because, there was one match where Kane Williamson didn't, I think he made
and he
2-3
picked up 3
runs.
wickets.
Yeah, he picked up 3 wickets.
We still lost.
Yeah.
It's important to add.
So just keep this in mind. You have to check the scorecards because it might be misleading. Those points on the portals might be misleading.
Yes.
Moving ahead, know the status of overseas pros. Best example, Kevin Peterson.
Kevin Peterson, man, very few are. Sometimes I ask these questions, like, why is that we are not blessed with oodles of talent, man? Some people can do commentary, some people can play the damn guitar, some people can go whack a cricket ball, some people can be absolutely elegant on the dance floor, some people can do whatever they wish. And still be fine.
Yeah.
Go to McDonald's, eat a burger every day, go to an ice cream parlor, consume every day, and
then
still
win
be fine.
18
Grand Slams. So this is. I mean, of course, this is when we go up, we can obviously go and negotiate. But this is Kevin Peterson, boys and girls, uncle and aunties. This is what he does. He'll be commentating somewhere in Melbourne. He'll take the next flight, go to London, play a cricket match, go to Dubai, play a round of golf, then off to Bangladesh for another game of cricket. So this is very important. Chris Gayle, another example. I think he has signed up for the Pakistan Super League. Although he was banned from playing in the Australian League.
Yeah.
I think he will travel to the Gulf, and I think he's very well received in that region. I think a lot of people love him, especially school and college going boys and girls. They like his flair, they like his flamboyance, and obviously the way he hits the cricket ball is just fabulous. So these guys could be in and out. So for example, let's say, although they might not have international commitments, they might have the reasons of their own, personal problems, personal issues, whatever, I don't know. So they could be in and out of the league. So that's where you have to keep a track of who's coming in. Dwayne Bravo, who was nursing an injury, and Carlos Brathwaite had issues, Alex Hales had issues, Sam Billings had issues. So these guys could be in, out, and then the replacement, you really, really don't know. For example, thanks to the BBL committee, we found out Dwayne Bravo injured, Andre Russell injured, immediate replacement was I think Carlos Brathwaite and Thisara Pereira. Very few franchisees or very few leagues will give you such information. And then suddenly you will tune in and see, hey, this foreigner has come. How did he make it to the league? So to avoid such circumstances, it's better that you keep track.
Another method to keep track of these guys is follow them on Twitter, because people like Kevin Peterson, Chris Gayle, at every drop of a hat there is a tweet. So you know whether this guy is traveling to
anything
UAE.
Happens to them, if they're suffering from constipation, that will be up. So all is put up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. I don't know, whichever platform you're comfortable with. Go and just I think to an extent, as they say, you can follow these guys. I mean, not a problem. I mean, you have to, because at the end of the day, your money is on the line. You can stalk them, not an issue.
Okay. Another point is ban, fine. They all count. At least for, matches, tournaments like Big Bash League, IPL.
I think here again, if I'm not wrong, Brendan McCullum, I would have given the example of Chris Gayle in the Big Bash, but because we have already used him as an example, Brendan McCullum was not allowed to play in the pre-match ahead of the semi-finals. If you remember, he was the captain of Brisbane Heat.
Yes.
And because he couldn't bowl the overs in time, I'm talking about 20 overs, he was fined. And eventually he was banned also, which meant he had to warm the bench. He couldn't play one match. These things happen. And you can be completely, you can be perplexed. You don't know what is happening because
on the portals, at the point table, he is at the top.
He's at the top, and you look at him. Oh, okay, Brendan McCullum has scored 46 of 28 balls, so I pick him. He's the captain. He's been taking 2 catches also every game. Then you suddenly realized, hell, he's not playing. Why is he not playing? Are you aware of these things? And what also happens is, Nikhil, many a times these franchisees don't give an official confirmation. There is no release. Very quietly, obviously they don't want to blow things out of proportion. They keep everything under the table. And then you are paying the price. So to avoid again such ugly situations, you should know.
Moving ahead, this point is very important. We have seen so many players making this mistake. Keep track of all the international matches and news. Talk about Big Bash League and Pakistan versus Australia.
I think so. Again, let's consider the IPL, and when the IPL is happening, I think only West Indies, England play a bit. Otherwise, there is no action happening across the globe. And when that happens, one of the reasons England cricketers have not been an integral part of the IPL. Morgan, Stokes, Root, David Willey, Anderson, you can name them all. But obviously they like to play cricket for England, and they have signed a contract. I think Ben Stokes and Josh Butler, they could be the first guys to break the contract. And Nikhil, if you read that contract, I think they are going to be losing anywhere close to 1 crore. If they sign up with IPL now, that's a massive blow. So these things can happen. Obviously, it's a priority at the end of the day. You want to gain the IPL experience as well, because it helps you evolve as a cricketer.
Yeah.
This is what Chris Jordan came up with. So these things can happen. But if Sam Billings, if Joe Root, if Ben Stokes get called for the series against New Zealand, okay, England is playing New Zealand, let's say, and suddenly these guys have to go. Or if Sri Lanka is playing against England, you will see Thisara Pereira, you will see Lasith Malinga earlier, obviously.
Yeah.
You will see these guys leaving the scene. If West Indies is playing, again, Pollard, Bravo, these guys have made themselves available only to the IPL.
Yes.
But some guys like Samuel Badri, some guys like Marlon Samuels, these guys might go and you might suffer. So to avoid situations, you obviously you should know what the schedule is and where West Indies, England, New Zealand are playing, simultaneously when the IPL is happening, so that you also get a fair clue. And again, you have to follow the auction very carefully, because the franchisees will also be well prepared. For example, Ben Stokes. And in our opinion, I think either Kings 11 Punjab or Kolkata Knight Riders will go for him. And when you know the franchisee is on the back foot already, which is a clear indication this guy might not be available for the entire league. A week window or two, get him into your team. Good luck to you. But otherwise, I think you have to just...
Who was the biggest trap in Big Bash League like this?
Oh, well...
I think he was Chris Lynn.
Chris Lynn got
he was got called.
No,
Chris got called for
that's
Australia
correct.
versus Pakistan.
Yes. He got injured later. Yes, Nikhil, you are right. He was called into the Australian team for the ODI and T20 series against Pakistan, and that's where many people picked him. We saw in our leagues as a captain. They had Brendan as a deputy. And that's how you pay the price, Nikhil.
Yep.
And unfortunately, a lot of people don't follow cricket internationally. They just stick to these leagues, and it can backfire.
Okay, final 2 point, guys. Pitch and weather conditions.
Oh, pitch and weather conditions. Again, Perth. We picked 5 bowlers in that final between Sydney Sixers and Perth Scorchers, because we knew that the conditions would be favouring the seamers and not the spinners. But I think this applies to all formats, Nikhil. This is a very common point for ODI cricket, for 50 over, for Test match and for T20. You have to take a look at the conditions. We wrote in our column talking about the second ODI between Australia and New Zealand at Napier. And we did declare that thunderstorms are predicted, and we saw what happened. So these are the things. Obviously, I think if you have been playing fantasy cricket for a while, you can't fight Mother Nature. But what you can do is you can obviously alter your team combination.
And when it comes down to 5 over match, it's just
a bit of a lottery.
Yeah,
like I said, go to Churchgate or the other station. You might just get lucky once in 15 years.
Right. So the final point is captain's dilemma. All rounders. We have got so many questions.
Yeah, so you look at let's. So I was looking at this Pakistan league, and I saw Shoaib Malik, I saw Shahid Afridi, Mohammad Hafiz, Dwayne Smith, Samuel Badri, and Chris Gale. What do you do? What do you do? I would say in such situations, obviously you pick all-rounders like Shakib, Andre Russell, Shane Watson. These guys bat and bowl. So obviously it makes sense to pick them because they have a confirmed role, and with bat and ball points obviously double up. So all-rounders, in my opinion, for T20 cricket. But if there is an all-rounder who's let's say there is Bravo, there is Jack Cullis, and there is Shane Watson, and Chris Gale is in the best form of his life, you pick Chris Gale. So there is no hard and fast rule that you have to pick an all-rounder every time. If Virat Kohli is batting against Watson, Andre Russell and Carlos Brathwaite, I will only pick Virat Kohli because of the form that he is in. So that's that.
Okay, that's an extensive list here, around 8 to 9 points. Guys, if you don't want to get into all this headache, you can definitely follow us.
Simply
we are
us.
there. We always write articles on each and every match that happens on our website, thefangarage.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Twitter as TFG Fantasy 11 and Facebook as Fantasy Pundit. You can listen to our podcast. We'll be giving you lots and tips, tricks and advices on fantasy cricket on IndusVox Media, Audio Boom, SoundCloud, iTunes and definitely on YouTube.
We'll come up with the test match slider also.
Yes, we'll come up with tips, tricks, and how to make.
But not for Bangladesh, India.
in general, how
yeah.
to make the best fantasy 11 for a test match.
Yes.
Till then, take care, keep hunting. Bye bye.
Hey man, just help me out, man. I need some podcast, man. I haven't had a fix in a week. Just need some.
Don't you worry about it. I got podcast galore for you, man. Just go to ivmpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna check it out.